Welcome to the Divergent AF podcast. I'm your host, Selena Thompson, a late diagnosed ADHD mother on a hashtag journey to unapologetic authenticity. Dive into the rabbit hole realness with me as we overshare unfiltered and relatable stories of what neurodivergent life is really like. Lifting the lid on the honest, hilarious, and heartbreaking topics typically confined to our inner monologue. Get ready to feel seen and heard as we ditch the to-do list, the daily planners, but most importantly, the shame. Welcome back to another episode of the Divergent AF podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that is probably relevant, well, let's just say every day of my life, but especially lately, and that is because I am going through an isolation hole, which makes it worse. But the topic of the day and night is communication styles, or should I say miscommunication styles, or connection loading, connection lost. I'm very aware that it may be me where the communication gets fuzzy, where the communication can go wrong, especially when you are communicating with a normie, as I call them, a normie, neurotypical. But I feel that when you can spot your own in the wild, it's like you've been born with a language and a communication style that you cannot teach anyone. You either have it in you or you don't. So I just thought that I would go into communication styles and the way that we communicate, because I know how big of an issue it has been and continues to be in my life. And I think these days I find myself hanging out and being around more people that either just love and accept me for who I am or are just like me. So that makes it easier. So communication style and miscommunication, I think, can then be tied into the number one topic, which is shame. Because when we get it wrong, or when we're ghosted, or when we're pushed out of the circle, that's a bit shameful. And I can think of many a time. I probably don't want to bring them up because some of them might make me cry still, but I can think of many a time where I've been ostracized and I was just really trying my best, but it was just perceived the wrong way. I know with me, I am an all-in, all-out gal. So when I'm talking to someone or communicating with them, it's 100%, 100%. And then I'm 100% out. Goodbye. You know, I can't just go along my day and have like a little petered out conversation over a day or like weeks or months. It's kind of like maybe like an atom bomb, but like a nice one. Do you know what I mean? It's there, and then it takes a long time to recover. Hopefully I'm not that bad. I probably am. I'm moving along. I have tears. Anywho, so my style of communication is direct, like a missile. Like I am in. You'll get like all the voice messages, all the links. I don't know, because maybe it was about a topic that I have knowledge in. Everything. And then I don't like to say love bombing. It's not like, I'm not saying I love you. I'm just saying that I give it all, and then no one can sustain that type of energy, you know. No one can. So I'm definitely more of a sprinter. Except I do not sprint. I can't sprint physically, so I don't know. Anywho, I know a lot of people are like that, and it's really hard when it gets to the point where you have all the messages, like I do at the moment, messages, emails that are really backing up, and you just don't have the space to even go into it, because for me personally, I know that when I open it, like, then I'm in it, I'm not just going to peek through the door. I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to be 100% in. And if I don't have the capacity because I am overwhelmed, especially in school holidays, I'd actually love to see if everyone else is kind of going through this worse in the school holidays, because the overwhelm is unreal, and they're around you all the time. Unless you're recently separated, then they're not around you all the time, and then you cry when they're not around you. That's like a whole killer fish. Anyway, but yeah, when I'm overwhelmed, whether it be work, side hobbies, pouring myself into a private investigation pro bono, it's really hard for me to kind of go to keep up regular, I guess, like more shallow, not shallow, but just, what's the word? What's the English word for this? That's what I do when I can't think of the word. If you want to sound a bit smarter and you can't, you say the thingy, just say, I just need to think of the English word for this. So people think you're bilingual, not stupid. Okay? That's a little tip. Still doesn't come to me, but I mean, surface. So surface conversations sustained over a long time. But I know, and I'm aware, and I'm not saying that everyone should live like me. Please don't. But I'm just saying I understand how it can be frustrating and how it can be perceived, which is heartbreaking, because I know when we do, and I know it's not just me, this type of communication style is a really common vibe in the tribe. And I can also see how it's perceived and how people get pissed off at you, or they just judge it as it goes to your character. Oh, she's flaky, or she's useless, or she's rude, or she's snobby, or she's open it, but she's posting reels. Yeah, but sorry, some of them are really funny reels. They cannot just be left there. I'm just saying. And then bam, there goes another friend. Another one bites the dust. Yeah, it's a really fun cycle. But when you are around someone and you see each other and you say weird stuff to each other, hey, they're going to do that to me too. And I love it when I don't hear from one of my neurodivergent friends, and I laugh because I know what they're doing and I do it too. So I just keep rolling. I just keep rolling, like, hey, what are you doing today? A week later, oh my gosh, did you see this? Nothing. Oh my gosh, this, that. I just almost like have the memory like 51st dates. I just don't take it personally. And I know that when they're ready to jump in, they'll jump in. And I so wish that could just be more understood by people that don't live like this. Because in no way, shape, or form does it mean that we're being rude, or we're trying to ignore people, or we're letting people down, or we want to upset people. We don't. I wish that part of it was probably just a little bit more accepted, because I can't change it at all. And I think the more that I'm really just stepping into it and owning it, instead of trying to keep up on that treadmill of normal, which I used to do, that just made me really resentful and drained, and I just couldn't keep it up. It was like it was like having a part-time job to me, this friendship thing. And I think another part of it that it boils down to is the inability to effectively task switch. Because when I think about it, just say I get a message come in, but I'm doing something else. First of all, I'm doing it now. I freeze, and I have to be like, hey, is this immediate? Like, no, okay, well, that can go to the very back of the line, and I now have 10 minutes where I need to be like, what the heck was I doing? What was I thinking? Now I feel like it just really disrupts the system. It's kind of like when when you shut down a computer and you somehow go, download updates, and you're like, ugh. That is how it feels, for me at least, when I'm trying to task switch. Yes, it could be about the most basic thing, like who's picking up who. Do you have this? Do you have that? It doesn't matter what the topic is. It's a change, and I've only realized it now that is why. I mean, even as I'm doing this podcast, I have to have everything on flight mode. Like, God forbid no one dies or anything where I'm not needed in the space of 40 minutes because, then I'll just would have let everyone down, but I guess that's quite normal. But it's the whole thing of if I saw an email come through, it's just going to add 10, 15 minutes on to the process, well, I've got to wait for the download. I don't know if you're like me, but you might be sitting on a few emails and messages that you need to respond to, because I know that I am, and as every passing day goes by, it actually gets worse and worse. And then more people jump onto this line and you don't know where to start. And I think another part of this, not only task switching, is that when you are finished what you really probably should be doing for the day, it actually takes so much energy and attention to give your all to someone, or to give all your attention, all your focus. It's the whole 100 or nothing. And sometimes then I'm not, it's not feeling it. I'm not feeling me's not feeling it. It's just not gonna, there has to be a lot of conditions that must be right for this. And this is not being an entitled, like, everyone must wait for me. I'm just saying that when I try, I'm really bad if I'm just not giving my attention to the people that I love and the people that I want to. And then I just, again, shame. I feel some shame. And then the cycle will repeat. Another thing about the way I communicate, and some people might be similar, I know a lot of people aren't, but for me personally, anything in writing I find the hardest. Emails, text messages, anything typing. And I don't know why that is. I think a part of it may be, once you put something in writing, it's there forever. I don't know if it's just, the trauma of going to law school. And if you put something in writing, be happy for it to be read out in court one day. I don't know. Maybe it's just the paranoia. But I find it so much easier to just shoot the shit on a voice message. And I know that most people hate it, and they're like, oh my gosh, my voice is so weird. I'm like, everyone's voice is weird. Don't listen to it back. Who cares? But I love it. You can do them anywhere. You can do them when you're driving, you can do them on the toilet if you've got a close relationship with someone, on a walk, and it's just better multitasking. And also, you can say things wrong. You can be like, bleh, 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 and it's not in written form. And if you really hate it, then just delete it. But that's the way that I like to roll. But I also say to people, as a caveat, no pressure. I know that voice messages aren't everyone's thing, so don't feel compelled that you have to do one. And I feel like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'd love to hear if there are other people that prefer the VMs over the TMs, typing messages. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of or seen those memes where it says, ADHD love languages, or autistic love languages, or neurodivergent love languages, but I watched a few of them, and that's when I realized, it's a thing. It's not just me. And that really maybe explains what went so wrong throughout all my friendships over the years. I don't know. I can't remember how many there are, and I'm not here to teach you them because, as I said, I'm never teaching anything on this podcast. But my ones personally, and see if you relate to any of them, are info dumping. So that, not info dumping is, and I will only info dump on someone that I actually really care about, or I want them to have the benefit of hours, sometimes weeks, of this knowledge of not eating, of not sleeping, of not going to the toilet. Like, if I care about you, if like, you're a good person, you're a good one, I'll give you an info dump. And that could be, sometimes I do mix it up. Sometimes I even type because I'm like so passionate, but it will be like, and I realize that some people get freaked out by that, but yeah, I mean, I can see it, can see how that could happen, but I just love you and I just like you as a person and I wanted you to have this little present and now you've ghosted me. So that's really weird, isn't it? Another thing I like to do is, which I mean, gosh, everyone does, sending relatable memes, but we don't have discussion. I don't have a discussion about it. It's just ping, 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 and there's no talking. I mean, there could be another message that I'm actually haven't replied to another platform from that person. But hey, I'm thinking of you on Instagram. I'm going to send this, but I'm not going to reply to your paragraph because I'm just not ready for it. But it's a way of being like, I'm thinking of you and I love you. One of my other love languages is when I'm out and about in the great wide world and I see something that one of my friends has mentioned and I see it and I just come across on my travels. And it'll be something real weird, like, oh my gosh, I can't find this brand of tampon anymore, or I can't, it'll be something weird, or like, oh my gosh, I need a plunger for the toilet. Yeah, this is all toilet related apparently. And I see one, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. It's just like I've bought them this diamond necklace, It's just I remembered what you said you needed and I love you. And I bought it and it wasn't even on sale, but I said it was on sale. And here you are. I love you. So that's one of the ways that I communicate that I care about someone. And it's never on the days, kind of like if there's a friendship day, Valentine's Day. No, it has to be authentic, it has to be in the moment. It usually has a really funny story about how I even got it. And vice versa. I love getting random gifts from someone that just thought of me in the toilet aisle at the supermarket. Let's just roll with the whole. Let's roll like the toilet roll with this toilet analogy. Okay. And while we're keeping on the toilet roll, no joking, this is actually my body. I know that someone is meant to be my friend or I feel safe with them if I can take an actual dump at their house. And that to me is it's on an unconscious level. I don't control that. If I go to someone's house a few times and I haven't done one, there's going to be a problem where I don't think this friendship's going to continue. I don't tell them that. That's weird. I know that that's weird. But I mean, I just know like, this isn't really going to roll, is it? But I remember going to one of my friends' I made a new friend. I went to a new friend's place on like the second time, and I went, and I really had to go. It wasn't just I might like take or leave it. It was I really had to go, and I came out. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be friends because I feel safe. I just did this in your house. Don't go in there. And she was like, yay! Yeah, like she actually recognised the importance of it. Do I still have you? Are you disgusted yet? I told you it was going to get unhinged on here. So yeah, info dumping, bodily dumping, sharing relatable memes with no other conversation, buying strange gifts to show that I was thinking about you and I listened to what you said. And probably another love language that I hold in high regard, and I know a lot of us Tribe Vibe do, is honesty and directness. And I'm not saying like those people that you say, oh, she's just a bitch, you just have to get to know her. No, they're actually they usually are bitches. I'm not talking about those. Like, oh, she's really blunt and a bitch, but she's nice. No, she probably is always a bitch. Let's just get that clear. I'm talking about when someone sends me, hey, which logo do you think? And I'll instantly say, I love that one. That one because of these reasons. And that isn't I'm not the person that'll say, I don't know, like what do you think? Or if we're out shopping and they're putting something on and it's just like, nah, I don't like that boxy shape on you, but I think this would be good. If you want an honest opinion with no motives or bias attached to it, I feel like that's what I do, and I feel like my close friends that are also neurodivergent do that too. it's just kind of like asking what color is the sky. It's so like that, and it can come out like that. But some people get it kind of offended, and I want to say some as in more normie people, because it's like they actually wanted you to say, "Oh, everything looks great. What do you think?" That's what I've come to learn because I've been tripped up many a time and this is going to be a whole separate episode, I think, about how, you know, how normies or neurotypical people don't mean what they say, and we get really confused because we think we're playing the same game, but we're really not. But what I've realized is there are a lot of people out there that want you to just agree with them, or they want you to just say, like, yes, it's all good, everything looks good. And I won't do it, not in a way to, and I 100% believe it in myself that I will never be mean. I'll make a joke, but I make jokes about myself. But if something doesn't look good on you, man, I'll tell you. Not that I'm a fashion stylist, but I think that a lot of us are very honest and we don't mean it to be rude. To us, honesty is honesty and lying is worse. And it's hard when some people perceive that as you're being rude. I don't know. I'd love to hear if that happens a lot to anyone else, because now I just pick my audience. Actually, I just pick my crew, my club. It's very small. You don't need that many, but now to have and be around people that have the same love language, have the same style of communication, just naturally makes things a heck of a lot easier. It makes your life a heck of a lot easier. I know that we can't, we're not going to take over the world and eradicate neurotypicals. I'm just saying that when I'm around friends that are just like me and we have the same style and the same expression, that it gives me the confidence and then also the energy to go out into the world and be able to just have, one of these little dancing, conversations with the rest of the world. And but I know that they probably will not understand how this is going to come out. So I'm going to try and do my best to, assimilate and also not get as upset if they take it the wrong way or get offended. Actually, just today, I sent a VM to one of my friends just thanking her and acknowledging the fact that I have gone MIA for 2 weeks and she has just carried on like she's having a conversation with herself. One day it's, hey, I'm really craving Mexican. Do you want to have lunch? And then 5 days later it's, hey, I'm going to go and book in for a cold plunge in a sauna. Do you want to come? It's at 12. And then another one is, this is a really good article. I didn't know this. And I can tell, there is absolutely no resentment brewing over there. There is nothing marinating. And I just really love it because she just keeps going. And I'll just pick up where I pick up and then we just take off. And I just wanted to message her and say, thank you for just understanding that this is how we communicate and you're just so G, And I hope that I do that to the people around me too. I never want to put people under pressure, and I know what it's like to feel pressured and feel like we're being a bad person. This all comes back to the shame again, because we don't communicate how we should be or how we're told we should communicate, Someone messages you, want to catch up for a coffee, and you say, yes, that would be lovely. And then you catch up for a coffee, and then you say, hey, this was so nice catching up. We have to catch up again. And then you say goodbye, and you probably don't see them for a year, That's kind of how we should be. Whereas I think when it comes to us, I know if I've got one of those messages, I've got a couple of those messages sitting in the bank, and I might have another message come through. I've just shit my pants in a supermarket. Well, you best believe it. I will be picking up ASAP. I will be saying, I need to know the texture. I need to know the context. I need to know the contexture right now, because we don't have time for the small talk. I think that's another thing as well. The small talk is just obsolete. We just don't have time for the small talk. We don't have a time. We don't have a lot of time for a lot of things, but yet I don't know. We still don't get things done. That's a real conundrum to me because we do. We give ourselves the best chance possible, even for going small talk, and we get right into the deep shit in more ways than one. But yeah, that's another thing I think is we do not do the small talk, and that's another way I can spot us in the wild because you'll say hello, and then it will be like, oh my gosh, like this is my childhood trauma. This just happened to me, and I'll be like, oh, same, it's happened to me too. And to us, that's very normal, and I can understand how that looks really abnormal, but at least it's quite entertaining, you know? I mean, again, I don't have the answers, but I think it's just having the awareness and the appreciation that, hey, this is how I roll, like a toilet roll, and not everyone else is going to understand it, but the right people will. And honestly, when you spot the right people, it's just like magnets that go to, not the ones that are like the ones you have to push together because they're actually opposite poles. It's kind of like the ones that are like, oh, and it just goes really easy breezy, lemon squeezy. So I hope you liked this little bite-size diving in, diving out episode on communication styles, miscommunication styles, and love languages. If you have any other ones that I haven't covered, I'm sure I haven't covered everything, there will be more. I would actually love to hear if you've got some really funny different ones. And I also thought I would just drop in there that if someone takes a dump at your house, they love you. Okay, over and out.